2016 was a very chaotic year for many, including myself, with a lot of low points, especially in my personal life, and then there was also plenty of high moments as well, and some great things that happened throughout 2016. I thought it was a good way to kind of end the year as far as the YouTube channel was concerned by going over some of my favorite moments, videos, my least favorite moments or least favorite videos, and just some other highlights that happened throughout the year that maybe I didn't get a chance to talk about, or I don't really get a chance to talk about too much when it comes to the videos. But here we go, 2016 in review, the Cornshaq edition, I guess. First and foremost, thank you all, those who have subscribed to this channel. It's amazing that we have continued to grow and everything that's happened. This year has been the biggest year on this channel in a very, very long time, if not ever in its history, as far as moving forward, new content, and moving finally, I think, in the right direction as far as the videos are concerned. When things became very stagnant last year in around June or July, I knew I had to change things up and do something different. And I've slowly started to do that throughout the rest of 2015 and then into 2016. And around April or May, as things started to gain that tiny bit of momentum, I kind of put in my mind that I wanted to reach 15,000 subscribers by the end of 2016, which at that point was a pretty far off thing. I had never grown that much in that short amount of time before, so there was no precedent beforehand. So I wasn't sure if that was even possible, but I wanted to kind of dream big and set a goal for myself to do that. And things continued to grow. I found out what was working. I kind of put my, foot to the pedal to the floor and just went boom headfirst into these kind of things, and deciding what videos to work on, what ones were working, cut some of the fat as far as some of the stuff that wasn't working. And it's not a knock on any videos or any types of videos that I'm no longer doing on the channel, or certain things that may get cut or changed around as time goes. It just, things work better than others, and it's my business, so I have to sometimes go with what's working as opposed to maybe what is fun, or they're all equally fun, honestly, but sometimes things work better than others, and that's what I have to focus on. So don't take it like personally if I decide to move on from a certain type of video or not. And if you really enjoyed those ones, I'm glad you did. There's always going to be those videos here. I'm not deleting a lot of the popular stuff by any means. I deleted some old first place stuff that, trust me, no one was watching. If it was anything that's been up for several years, or at least a year, and it's barely reached 100 views at that point, I was like, you know what, at this point, those who want to see it have seen it, and it's time to declutter the YouTube a little bit as far as that was concerned. But the most important thing was I reached 15,000. In fact, I reached 15,000 about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, if that. It's been a very short amount of time ago that I hit that 15K mark. Days and weeks really blend together, especially when you're doing what I'm doing every week. I kind of have like a set thing that I'm doing on each day of the week, and it just all starts to kind of blend into one giant puddle sometimes. So I lose track of time as far as how many days it's been, or weeks it's been, or months it's been since certain things ended up occurring, but it's been very short time. And even since then, we're almost already to halfway towards 16,000. We're at like 15,400 right at the making of this video. I just thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. I cannot thank you guys enough. I don't get to thank you guys enough. I try to thank you as much as I can in videos and everything like that, but it's not enough. Just subscribing to this channel. I've always said making content on YouTube has given me a fulfillment that nothing else had previously, of course, done, and it's so cool to have people from all around the world that have seen something that I created. And I said, whether or not you like my stuff or you hate my stuff, if you clicked it and you saw even a few moments of something I created, it's still kind of mind-blowing that I created something that someone I never would probably meet has seen something that I did. Whether in a good way or a bad way, that's just a cool impact to have in general. It's something that I never would have dreamt was possible when I was younger, as something like this didn't exist or couldn't possibly exist. So it's really cool to be able to do what I'm doing, and I hope I'm able to continue doing it for well past 2017, and just keep on going forward, keep evolving, keep moving, keep growing, and all that good stuff. So thank you all once again so much for all the subscriptions, and for liking the videos and sharing the videos, and the Patreon people. You guys keep this channel running. Without it, things are growing and things are getting bigger, but without that support, I wouldn't have been able to do what I was doing for as long as I have. There was some really low points as far as being able to keep things going if I had to kind of quit YouTube and go back to, you know, a full-time gig. You know, it's been a lot of really gray areas. I wasn't sure I'd be here at the end of 2016 doing this kind of video or any video anymore on YouTube. So thank you all once again. You guys are absolutely amazing, and I appreciate every single one of you, whether it be for a view, for a like, for a share, for a subscription, for a donation, for Patreon support, whatever it may be. Thank you all so, so much. Now, I want to kind of get into some of the moments. I kind of have a list next to me of things I want to make sure that I cover in this video. I think it would be fun to cover. This year started off, and it's amazing how much time flies and how much of a difference things make. MagFest is my favorite video game convention of the year. In fact, it's next week, which I will be at doing another panel, and I will be there all weekend. So if you're watching this and you're going to be at MagFest at all, I will be around. So please feel free to come up, say hi, whatever you want to do. I get to meet a few people here and there that, you know my stuff or see my stuff or like my stuff, so I hope to get to meet some people this year. It's one of the best, coolest things about doing what I do. But it was a pipe dream. About a year back near the end of 2015, I did a very small, what we call the Cornshaq tour, where I went to a few video game stores that were not too far from my local area in Virginia, in West Virginia, one in New Jersey, and I did a little presentation about speedrunning and about gaming and my love for retro gaming and video game collecting, and they were really fun. Unfortunately, it was one of those things where I got to meet some new people that were there, the people that ran the stores, which were all cool, and especially Vintage Videos and Games in Morgantown, West Virginia. If you're ever in Morgantown, West Virginia, you need to go there. That store is amazing, and the people that run it are absolutely awesome, and I hope I can get to go back. I wish it was closer so I could actually go visit there more often. Awesome, awesome store. But I appreciated every one of the stores that gave me an opportunity to go there and kind of give this little thing, and it was kind of a way to test the waters on if I'd be, you know, how I would feel comfortable in front of people. And the first time I did one, the very first one I did, I stumbled through. There wasn't really much of an audience. Didn't seem like people were caring. In fact, there was a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament going on while I was trying to do my presentation, so it was like no one had any interest in what I was talking about. So it was kind of like, let's do this and let's get going. But because of it, I was able to get kind of a rhythm going, and now I feel much more confident as far as being able to give a presentation and all. So fast forward just a little bit after that, the pipe dream was to eventually get a panel at MagFest. Of course, the real dream is to be a guest at MagFest, be a guest at these conventions, which is the eventual goal. But my, kind of pipe dream was just to do a panel there. That's something I hadn't really done before, and it would be really cool. So we applied and didn't expect to hear back, and amazingly, like middle of January of this year, we heard back. It was near the end of January that we'd be able to do a panel at MagFest, and it was amazing. It was an awesome experience. It was one of the coolest things. There was some drama going into it, and plenty of drama afterwards, but that moment of that panel, which you can look on it's on YouTube, it's on this channel, just search MagFest. Maybe I'll put a link to it, but you can see the entire panel if you want to see from that. That was back at the end of February of this year. And MagFest for 2017 is the first weekend in January. It's usually in January, very early February, but last year there was some conflict, so they had to put it at the end of February. So it's not quite a year since then, but I'm going back. I'm doing another similar panel. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to do it. MagFest was that was a huge thing for me, was to be able to go to the MagFest, do a panel. It was just so awesome. And I also got to do ones at Too Many Games in near Philadelphia, as well as I got to go to Philadelphia's Wizard World, which is a comic book and nerd convention, just everything there. I mean, so much. It was amazing how many things were there. Celebrities, signings, and all kinds of crazy stuff going on at Wizard World, as far as, like, the scope was humongous. And I got to go there and do another presentation as well. So doing those presentations and panels at some conventions was one of the biggest highlights. And I have to thank Emily, aka Zelda. You are the reason I was able to do that. She very much was putting forth the effort and like the work and wording things and sending me emails and putting everything together for doing that Cornshaq tour, and then being able to do these panels, because I'm not the best when it comes to like writing up a professional looking email to try to do a panel or talk to someone. I'm very bad when it comes to like texting or email. I'm very like blunt and non-descriptive, and it was perfect and it worked, and doing those panels was amazing this year, and I hope to do more past MagFest. progress. Hopefully we can get on some more conventions in 2017 and just keep going with that. Play it through wise, my retro series, which has now been going on now, it's going to be 10 years. This is the 10th year of doing play it throughs, these retro walkthrough, talk-through videos that I started all those years ago. Infamously with Super Mario Brothers 2 that became the famous Retsupre or infamous Retsupre, which is amazing. Some people actually, I mean, now don't even know that exists, which is, I guess, a good thing. I guess time really does, like, just things eventually start to fade away, as that video was so long ago now. In fact, 9 years ago almost that video was created, the Retsupre version of it. February, it'll be like 9 years or 10 years or whatever. It was 2008, February 2008. But anyway, so the playthrough series, I love doing these videos. They're very difficult to do. One thing that's a misconception, I think, with my channel is that, like, and I still get it today, like, and I've talked about this before on my stream or on YouTube a little bit before, but there's a misconception that I just boot up some retro game and I beat it instantly and I beat it flawlessly. And that's not the case. These games, a lot of them take, days, weeks, months, years of effort, practice, routing, putting together the perfect route, like, especially when it comes to collectibles and the bigger titles. I mean, Yoshi's Island, for example, took forever to finally get a run. In fact, I had to do 2 runs because I lost my original run of the game and I had to redo it, which was an absolute nightmare. So just so many, a lot of these videos take a long time to do because of it. So somebody asked me recently, could I do, one thing I also do is I take every request ever given to me. If you give me a request, I put it down. I have a notepad, not like an actual notepad, but a notepad file on my computer that has all the requests I've ever gotten. And I slowly try to get to them as I can. But there's always the way, if you're interested in getting like a play it through done, soon, I have, through donation or through a Patreon support. There's levels on the Patreon for those kind of things at certain levels. And somebody recently asked about, that, and I gave them the price and said how long it would be. And they were like, what? It's not going to be done like tomorrow? It's like, no, especially considering it was an RPG. It was a Super Nintendo RPG. And I was like, no, because I have to not only be able to beat the game well without, doing my best not to game over. Sometimes losing a life or game overing is just something that is unavoidable with doing the play-it-throughs. But I don't do it often. I try to do my best to do it perfectly, or as close to perfect as I can. Plus, all side quests and leveling up and grinding, and it's like a lot of stuff would go into doing some RPGs. That's why I don't do very many RPGs for play-it-throughs. But they assume that I'd be able to do it like tomorrow. Like I just be able to put the game in and be able to like, boom, here you go, here's the video. And plus hours of commentary and stuff. I always do. Another thing is I always do post commentary on my play-it-through videos. It's not live commentary. My live commentary during it is usually nothing because I'm not focused on talking. I get really focused in on the game to make sure that I don't make a mistake. And one reason I don't do them on my live streams, like trying to do them there, though I do speedruns, once in a while still, and I used to speedrun a lot more, is because I get distracted. I want to interact with the audience on my Twitch streams. So if I'm working on play it through, though, it's hard to focus on the game and be able to talk to people directly as well. So it's one of those things. What I'm doing is there's no way I could really do live commentary on my play it through. So it's always post commentary, which I think is another little misconception some people still have about those videos. But anyway, as far as those videos were concerned this year, I love being able to do the Famicom games. I started doing because February used to be a viewer request thing, and I used to do some votes for it, and I now kind of throw in requests whenever I can. If they're donated for a Patreon, they get done as quick as possible. But the other ones, I try to throw them in usually in months like August or April, where there's not quite as many of my themed months. As a sneeze is building as I'm working on talking about this stuff. So I tried to throw those requests in those couple of months, but I decided this past year to do a Famicom February. Games exclusive to the Famicom. So still covering like NES era 8-bit games, but doing ones that didn't come here. I did like the Transformers, Convoy Nanazo, whatever it's called. I'm sure that's wrong now because my brain's freezing. I also did like Bird Week, which is a really weird game. And Devil's World, which is of course the infamous Japanese Nintendo-made title that didn't make it in North America because it's the devil and there's Bibles in it and crosses and all that kind of stuff. So not even like that, like it's not like satanic or anything really, but it's just like one of those games that Nintendo was like, no, Nintendo America's like, no way we're bringing that here. But it was cool to finally do a video for that game, and I plan on doing Famicom February again next year, and there's some really cool stuff I have planned for that. I also did my March of Mega Man again this year, which I will be doing, of course, again next year, which is the 10th anniversary of my March of Mega Man, which is kind of crazy to think of as well. When it comes to everything, I'm going to be doing... This past year I did like Mega Man Extreme 2 for the Game Boy Color, and I did Mega Man Soccer finally. But next year I'm going to be doing the Mega Man 1 through 6 again as a 10th. You know, it's been 10 years since I've covered them on the YouTube channel, so I figured it's by, you know, time I could go back and redo them. But I'm going to be doing the PlayStation 1 versions of the game, Rockman 1 through 6 on the PlayStation. Some people don't even know those versions exist, and they're basically the same game, just with like an arranged soundtrack and some like pictures and a little few extras here and there, but for the most part they're still the same game. So I'm going to be covering that for this year's March of Mega Man. Another thing I love doing is my May of Mario, and this year I got to throw in some really oddball titles. I did like the BS Satellite, Super Mario Brothers USA, that was pretty cool, you know, with the cutscenes and such in it. I got to do the BS Excite Bike Mario Edition, which is basically was Excite Bike with Mario characters, but for the Super Nintendo, so that was really, really cool. And I also got to do Versus Super Mario Brothers this year, which is the arcade version of the original Mario Brothers that added levels that would go on to be in Super Mario Brothers 2, aka the Lost Levels here. So really cool stuff. For next year's May of Mario, I'm going to be doing, because that'll be, you know, it's kind of been a while since I've done them, I'm going to do the Super Mario All-Stars versions of Mario 1, Lost Levels 2, and 3, as well as, hopefully, if all goes well, doing new versions of my Super Mario Land 1 and Land 2 videos. Doing probably the Japanese versions of them, even though there's really no difference at all. That way it's just kind of a slightly different version than I've already covered. And Super Mario Land 2 for Game Boy was one of the very first, I think it was probably the first Game Boy game I did, or at least one of the first ones I did. And it's one of my oldest videos. So I figured it's another one that it'd be worth redoing. And I probably won't use the carrot as much, show a little bit more of the ground. There's some times where I just kind of glide it with the carrot a little bit more than maybe I should to show the level off a bit more. But anyway, so that's stuff I think it's going to be really fun to work on next year. I also have really enjoyed this year doing the ROM hacks, adding the ROM hacks and the bootlegs into my repertoire playthroughs, and being able to still focus on my main playthroughs, but throw these extra ones in there as well, which a lot of them have actually done better than my scheduled main playthrough for whatever particular week, especially ones for Mario and Sonic and stuff like that. And I love Mario. I love playing Mario games. So doing ROM hacks of Mario, as long as they're not the Kaizo Mario stuff, like the farthest I really kind of got into that was that Waluigi's Adventure, which that game was really difficult to get through. In fact, I think I died 3 or 4 times during my playthrough of it because I could not beat it, no death. So I'm not really big into those kind of Mario hacks, but the ones that are actually fun with creative level designs or interesting aspects to them. I have a few in the works that I'm actually currently working on. I want to do some more Sonic ROM hacks as well, and some, as you've seen, I'm getting into the bootlegs. I'm really enjoying the bootlegs, so expect to see a bunch more bootleg Famicom titles in the near future. I've been digging through a lot of these ones. I got a huge pack of like all these bootleg games, and I've been slowly going through them, finding ones, playing them. I also probably plan on throwing in some of the weird Mario-like ones and some other stuff too, so I'm loving it. I hope you guys are enjoying those bootlegs as well. It seems like they're doing pretty well. In fact, even the Samari that I put up, which is the Sonic Mario one, this week has done pretty well as far as viewers go, so I've been really enjoying it, and I hope to keep doing those. I love doing the Simpsons games. I finally got to do more Simpsons titles, and next year I plan to do a few more. I haven't gotten a chance to cover all the Game Boy ones, so I'm doing like Bart and the Beanstalk and Bart versus the Juggernauts next year. I'm not sure what other Simpsons games I will do yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to tackle Bart's Nightmare. That's one that I need to do for sure at some point, and I will. That's a game that's one of those ones that haunts me from my childhood, because I was able to beat everything except for the Indiana Bart type thing, like the Indiana Jones parody-esque part of it. I always would fail at that, and I couldn't beat it, and I beat everything else in the game, but that was the part I always got stuck on, so I need to go back and like conquer that to fully realize that, vanquish the foe of my childhood, pretty much. I also love doing for horror for Halloween. Kid Dracula was a lot of fun to redo, as well as Trying to think. The Gargoyle's Quest. I couldn't. Brain. Gargoyle's Quest was also really cool to do. I love a lot of the. I love horror games. I did 4 countdowns for horror games plus a bunch of playthroughs of horror games this year. So lots of horror, which was really, really cool. And I got, doing Kid Dracula, that was cool to play through. It's such awesome work. I love the Splatterhouse parody boss in it with Rick, and he has the shotgun and all. Just really cool stuff there. And then in Gargoyle's Quest, just an awesome laid out game. I'm hoping to get the Gargoyle's Quest 2 in 2017 for the Halloween horror month. And you may be wondering, well, that's like October, that's so far off. I think way ahead. I actually already have a good chunk of everything I have planned for play-it-throughs all the way to the end of 2017, like into December of 2017. I already kind of have a schedule set up for myself for ones to work on, which a few things aren't there yet. I need to add a few more, and I don't really count the bonus ones because I'm never sure what bootlegs I'm going to get into or what hacks I'm going to get into. And there's new hacks springing up all the time, new bootlegs being discovered or whatever it may be. So I will be doing more of those. I will be adding some more to my kind of list, but yeah, I have a lot of stuff planned throughout the course already of the year, and it was cool getting to do some Disney stuff as well, like always. And I got to do Lion King this year for Super Nintendo. That was fun, more difficult than I was thinking. Until my biggest problem was beating Scar easily, and I didn't know about the whole jumping on Scar thing until I watched a couple of videos, some speed runs, and that's some of the strategy for doing that. And I was like, oh, you can jump on Scar. You have to time it right for the jump, but you can jump on them. That's kind of cool. Awesome. So that helped really kind of putting the finishing touches on my Lion King run. So I was really happy to do that. And there's Aladdin NES, that awful Aladdin game. In fact, I didn't even know it existed because I thought it was just a bootleg, but the Lion King on NES is supposedly really, really bad. In fact, I felt bad not having it on my worst 8-bit Disney list that I did this year because I was like, oh, this game is really bad, and I didn't know. I thought it was a bootleg. I didn't know it was actually an officially released Lion King game on NES, so I need to get a hold of that game somehow, and I need to do it for next year's Disney month. That is what I have to get done for next year. Moving on, I did a lot of reviews this year. That's the big change to the channel as far as content's concerned, with an absolute ton of reviews. In fact, I was looking over my list of overall videos, and I've done over 300 videos this year with 141 reviews this year, and it was like 72 or no, 80 play-it-throughs. I thought it was closer to the lower 70s. No, 80 play-it-throughs and 141 reviews, which is just an insane number. Like when you really kind of think of the scope of 100, that means I beat and reviewed 141 games, and well, couple of them. There's a couple. Soul Brain Night of Darkness I will never finish because it's broken. It got taken off the store. It's never getting finished. Speaking of which, though, with the reviews, this is something that I've really kind of gotten into a groove with, and you guys seem to like. There's a lot of people that like the reviews. Yeah, they have problems sometimes, and not every review is as flawless as I would like it, or there's sometimes I miss a few details. I try to do my best to explain what the game is about, and if there's some key things that stand out as being good, or key things that stand out being bad, and go over a lot of the basics to pretty much give you guys, I think a review, while you can do a critical review of every little element of a game, as far as every little breakdown it goes, a lot of what makes a good review, I think, for a lot of people, and I could be wrong here, is getting information about the game out there, what the game is, how does it play, what kind of genre and some stuff it is, to see whether or not it's worth even checking out for you, because I can give it any score I want, and you may end up liking it in the end. So highlight the good, the bad, and what the game is, and that's what I've tried to do with my reviews, and started to condense them a bit more, a lot shorter reviews, which apparently is bad for the YouTube algorithm. They want much longer, bigger videos. Part of the reason why I'm doing something like this is because apparently that's what works on YouTube now, is that people watch your videos for long periods of time. It's always changing. That's why doing what I do is not necessarily the easiest thing in the world sometimes. But when it comes to reviews, I think I've kind of gotten a very good formula. And I really, like I said, I pump them out now. I'm able to get reviews done very quickly. I'm not going through when I first started doing reviews, I would go through take after take after take and after take of mistakes and changing things up, and I still make mistakes and I still, you know, flub up sometimes, but I was going from, like, let's say the review's 5 minutes long, I at one point would have like 30 minutes of footage of me screwing up and all that, and now I've kind of gotten it down to usually the review's about 5 minutes. It's usually between 10 and 15 minutes at most of footage, so that includes my mistakes or maybe some stuff that may end up getting hidden in the cutting room floor. There's sometimes where I do a line or two talking about details and stuff, and I end up cutting it. That's why if you watch my reviews, I have sometimes during a certain description of something, I'll have text pop up that talks about something else. Usually, I was like, you know what, I can throw that up there. That way you can read and you get whatever, and that can cut a few seconds off the video so you can get back, you know, get more bang for your buck as far as the information that you need for those who are interested in a particular game or watching the review. So sometimes there are some lines or some, you know, things that end up getting cut overall, but for the most part, that's kind of how it's set up. But anyway, so before the reviews, the ones that were the worst this year, like the worst games of the year, man. Dogchild, holy crap, was that game bad. And I actually went back and watched my review of it, and I hate my old reviews now. I'm already starting to, like, I loved probably my dog. When I finished that Dogchild review, I was like, this is funny, and I love it, and all that. I hate looking at it now, man. It's so bad. So many issues I have with that video, editing, and everything else concerned with it. But, of course, sneeze as soon as I'm like, doing videos. It's funny, when I do live streams and do videos and all that and recording, I don't sneeze like outside of doing, you know, most of the time. But for some reason, as soon as I start talking, doing videos, doing my live stream, like as soon as I go live on Twitch a lot of times, immediately my brain's like, my body's just like, you need to sneeze. I'm like, you couldn't do that like 5 minutes before I started streaming? And anyway, the joys of doing videos. But anyway, Dogchild, man, like I said, the reviews, I can't even watch it anymore. But wow, what a bad game, man. That game was so awful. And the same goes for, like, Orkchild. A game that I forgot to include on my worst list, and I feel so bad because I didn't put it on there, was Honor and Duty. Holy crap, Honor and Duty was one of the most cookie-cutter, like, pasted-together games of all time, and oh, man, it was awful. If you didn't see my review of it, that is up here. It's up on YouTube, of course, my review for Honor and Duty, and some reason I let that game escape my mind. It was so bad, I let it escape. It would have probably been my number 2 worst game of the year. It would have bumped one of the other ones a little bit back. It would have ended up knocking maybe even Coffin Dodgers off the list. I'm not sure which one I would have taken completely off the list. Ghostbusters maybe even, and that was a bad game. Ghostbusters was awful, don't get me wrong, but as far as top 10 worst games of the year is, I can't believe I forgot about Honor and Duty. And then Soulbrain. When I booted up Soulbrain, playing that on my live stream, I couldn't believe that game existed, and it was like, I can't remember exactly, but it was like $13 or $14 or some ridiculous price on PlayStation Network at the time. Thankfully, they've removed it from the PlayStation Store, so nobody has to suffer with it anymore. But man, Soulbrain, what a horrible, horrible game. There was also plenty of good games to review, though. I had, just in a couple weeks' time, you had Uncharted 4 and Doom right around the same time as one another. Those were awesome games, and I really worked hard on my Uncharted 4 review, and it didn't do very well. I know everyone had already reviewed it, and it was kind of discouraging, to be honest, when I did that, because I was like, I really busted my butt on that review. I spent like 3 days, and I was up for like most of that 3-day period playing it and doing as much online as I could and beating the main story, and it was a lengthy story. That was the other thing, which was awesome. For those who are into the game, like, it is a lengthy story, much longer than I was expecting it to be. And I loved every minute of the game, don't get me wrong, but I was like, I put all this time into it, and I was like, it still hasn't done very well as far as views are concerned, but it was a lot of work and a lot of heart put into that one. A little bit discouraging when it came to that, but, you know, reviews, they bounce right back, because then another one will come out, and one that you're not expecting to do well ends up doing well. Look an example, 7 Days to Die. This was a game I was not going to review, but my girlfriend at the time, now my ex-girlfriend, she was like, you should do the review for it. And after I played through the game, I played it for quite a while, but I knew it wasn't like I played a ton of it, but I was hating it so much. And not because I think the misconception is I gave it a horrible review, because it deserves a horrible review for, not because of what the game is, the type of game. I'm not into Minecraft and crafting, survival, those kind of games. I'm not into them. I've tried to give several ones a try. I heard 7 Days to Die was supposedly great, so that was the reason, like, oh, well, I like zombies, I like it, let's try that one out. So it came to console. It did not, it's, you know, on the box itself, it does not say early access. There's no early access on PS4. It is, you know, I know maybe still early access on Steam, and probably always will be, because that's what seems to happen with early access games. They never come out of early access half the time, and that way they can keep saying that, oh, we're still working on it, or people that like the game, when people bash the game, they can be like, well, it's still in development, you gotta give it time. I'm like, it's been in early access for years now at this point. Like, they should have a finished product. But anyway, the port on PS4, it may be better now. If you buy it now and you're enjoying it, it's not broken. But when the game crashed on me so much, the servers kept resetting and then taking me back to the tutorial. Like, I kept having to redo the tutorial over and over again because the server kept messing up, and it wasn't my connection to the internet or whatever. I wasn't the only one having the issue. It was just so many bugs and glitches and issues, and it just ruined any potential, you know, immersion I could have in that game. And I hate my review for it. It's not a very good review. It's one of my worst reviews. Personally, that's how I feel about it. And it blew up. It did extremely well, and it's still doing well. In fact, it's over 70,000 views, which is crazy for a video that I've done. I've had some other reviews do really well. Ghostbusters is over 20,000. Another one I did is over 25,000. Ocean Horn, I know, is like probably right around 20,000, if not more. And it's like amazing that so many people are seeing these reviews and loving them or hating them or whatever it may be. It's so cool. But 7 Days to Die, it blew up out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting. I wasn't even going to do it, but I was convinced to do the review anyway, and I threw it up there, and man, was I glad I did because of that. I still hate it. I hate that that's like the first impression I may leave on people, because I think it's not the most quality review out there. But you know, you can't argue with success as far as the numbers are concerned, I guess. So I'm very grateful for all the views and all. But personally, I'm like, of all the reviews, it had to be that one. Another review that was very big for me this year was Brutal. It's a game that you may, what of all the ones memorable, Brutal is memorable to you? Like, it was, you know, it's a good game. It really actually was a well-made, fun game. With the old ASCII art, you know, stuff and all that for the dungeon crawling-esque game, and then of course people argue it's not really a true roguelike, or it's not this or not, whatever. I have fun with the game. I don't care whether you want to define it in whatever genre you want to. But the reason why it was important to me, and I don't think they knew at the time, the developers contacted me to give me a review copy of the game. I had gotten a couple of Steam keys before when I did Shiplord and Asteroid Bounty Hunter. They had sent me keys, but those were very, very small little indie games. Maybe one or two people with all, you know, reused assets from other stuff, and, you know, really kind of pasted together kind of games. But nothing on PS4 had happened yet. I hadn't, you know, I didn't know how to contact people. I didn't know anything like that. And Brutal, the developers, they contacted me and sent me the code, and they were the very first PS4 developers of any kind that sent me a code for their game to review, and you know, ahead of release, and that was cool. That was a milestone in a lot of ways, and I did legitimately love the game. One thing that I want that, you know, of course, when you start getting into people, you know, because you look at all the major reviewers, every one of the major reviewers, anyone who's above me, or even sometimes below me sometimes with them in subscriptions, they're getting their games, they're getting all review copies. They're getting them all. In fact, some reviewers won't even review a game now unless they get a review copy of the game. But all the big reviewers, they're all getting review copies. It's just what happens. That's how it works. But my determination is to make sure that my opinion is never compromised. I'm not being paid for it. I'm not getting paid by the company to do the review. They just give you the game so you can review it and get your review out there in a timely manner. Sometimes the companies are like, oh yeah, I'll give you a code. That's the worst. The worst doing this, though, and I don't get me wrong, it's cool to even get, let's say I contact a company, they're like, yeah, sure, we'll send you the code and blah, blah, blah. Contact us back when the game's coming out or whatever it may be. You contact them and you don't hear back. You don't end up getting the code. At which point it's just like, you, like, don't promise me. Like, you don't, they, like, literally some of them promise, yes, we promise you'll have a code or you'll have this or we'll give it to you, whatever it may be, and then they don't deliver. It's like, That's kind of crappy. Like, plenty of companies I've emailed also didn't send me anything back. So I'd rather have nothing or a no than be told, yeah, you get a code, and then nothing. But Brutal, they contacted me. I hadn't sent anything to them, and so that was really cool. But as far as doing the reviews are concerned, I have probably, out of the 141 reviews I've done this year, I want to say between 10 and 15, I was given from the creators, the developers, or the publisher, whoever it may be. And always, in the description of the video, for every one of those, it does say whether or not. So if you're ever unsure if I got the game as far as a company giving me the game, it's always in the description. In fact, I think all of them are at the very top of the description. At least that's my goal now. Is maybe the earliest ones I didn't, but from now on, it's like, if I get a game from a company or anything like that, you guys will know right there, top of the description. I try to even put it sometimes in capitals a little bit, just to be like, here, make sure you see this, and I did get it, just so you know. And you can take my opinion at that point at a grain of salt, but I also kind of counter it with my opinion is not affected by getting the game, whether or not. I have a budget set for games anyway. I don't even think of, when I buy these games, I care about the price very much when it comes to the review. And that goes into, whether I got the game for free or not, my review is still going to reflect what the price tag is. So if a game is great, but it's like, or good, the game's good, but it's way overpriced, even if I got it for free, you guys are going to know that that game is way overpriced, and that's happened a few times. And I haven't given glowing reviews to all the games that I did get from companies. In fact, you can look at, what was it, in Versus or whatever it was, the weird black and white shooter-esque game, I did not give a very glowing review to. And also, one of them was on my worst of 2016 list, Grand Prix Rock and Racing. That game was god-awful, and I did end up receiving that from the company. So I do have some criteria to be like, yeah, I've given some of the ones I've gotten for free good reviews, and I've also given ones I've gotten for free not so great reviews. So anyway, that's just one little thing, and that also, I think, clarifies it for some people that wonder if I get the games for free. I don't get very many, so you can always tell if a review does not have it in the description, it came out of the budget as far as the channel is concerned. Another one of my crazier reviews was my Resident Evil 4 one, the remaster that was on PS4. That one did really well for me as far as views were concerned. I was actually nervous about doing any kind of remaster, especially for a release like that, because I figured, well, people already know about the game. They're not going to care about a review for that game from me now because it's a remaster or remake or whatever it may be. But I got it up, I guess, quick enough, or whatever YouTube algorithms liked it, because it's done 25,000 views now at this point since it went up in August, and that's just another one of those really cool ones that I did not expect anything from whatsoever, and that was really cool to get. Another one, my favorite review. If someone asked me flat out, what was your favorite review to do this year? Two come to mind that I had a lot of fun doing. First up is the Hatsune Miku Project Diva X review. If you've never seen it, check it out. Very few people watched it. It's, I think, at 900 views total, and it's been up for a long time now, so it didn't do very well for me, but it was still really fun to shoot. It was just a fun little gag I did at the beginning of the review that I thought was funny. I don't know if people thought it was funny. I don't know. The problem is when you're doing content, I try not to force funny, but if I have an idea and it makes me laugh a little bit in my head, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should go ahead and do that. I try not to force humor because you can't. It turns out bad in the end. And I'm not a good judge of what's funny because I have a very warped sense of humor. I have a very deranged, dirty, sometimes, sense of humor as far as what actually makes me laugh. But then again, I also have a very silly sense of humor. I love slapstick and stuff. I know a lot of people hated it, but the AVGN Angry Video Game, they just put up a video for his Sega accessories video that didn't really review much about the technology, the stuff and the accessories in there, which to me I already knew about all those accessories. So I don't really need an in-depth review. So I'm sure some people were looking for that. But for me with AVGN, I'm watching usually for entertainment value much more than information on the games, because there are a lot of other great informative YouTubers out there as far as detailing the history and stuff of accessories and games and all that good stuff. But anyway, I love that video because it was just all stupid slapstick comedy, just breaking, breakable fake things and glasses and just sugar glass and all. To me, the video was hilarious. That was one of the funniest AVGM videos I have seen in a long time. I love that. So I have a weird sense of humor. It's all over the place sometimes. So point being, I thought the Hatsune Miku review was funny. And the other review, my favorite review, no doubt my favorite review to do was My Name is Mayo. It's a very stupid, very short, very easy review for me to do, of course, because it was My Name is Mayo, which is just the dumbest game on PlayStation 4 this week. Not this week, sorry, this year. I say this week a lot in videos, so it just kind of becomes like, when I say this, it's going to be this week. Like, my brain just naturally flows. This week. It's this week. It's this... anyway. My Name is Mayo, though, was just... I loved it. I put on, like, I have my suit jacket little thing on there, and a tie. And I had the jar of mayo that I got from the fridge. And it's so stupid, and it's very simple, very sarcastic. I thought it was funny. I don't know how many other people thought it was funny out there. I think a few people did. And if I made one other person laugh, like giggle, you know, whatever it may be, awesome. That is incredible to me. So I love doing My Name is Mayo. That was my favorite review all time that I've done so far. Who knows what 2017 will hold. And I try not to throw a lot of skits and stuff like that in, though. There's a few times where I think it's appropriate or can work. And I only do it if I think it can work. It's not going to take away too much from the review. The Hatsune Miku one was probably about the longest drawn out kind of thing I'm probably going to do for a review. At least currently. Who knows? If I make it really big and get a bigger budget and I can do bigger things, who knows? You never really know. One other thing I do want to talk about during the course of 2016 that ended up happening is I did lose a dear friend of mine who ended up passing away, who was a viewer and a supporter. And that's the key to this, is he was very much a supporter of what I did. I've been doing YouTube now, and you know, I've been doing YouTube for going in my 10th year, and I've been doing Twitch live streaming for 3 years now. And it's a full-time gig for me. This is what I do. So I struggle. It's been a whatever. When I quit my job as an EMT to do this full-time, you know, I had some savings built up and some other things. So I had enough to get me through a certain amount of time. But after that, if I hadn't started getting things working, you know, I would have had to quit, and I wouldn't have been able to do it any longer and whatever. And right as I started getting going with Twitch and YouTube, Zero Eats came into the stream and started watching, and then out of nowhere started donating, and donated a lot of money. And I mean a large amount of money during the course of the time that, you know, he was around for the streams, and got to meet him in person and be around him and be his friend. And I'm friends with a lot of people, and I've always tended to make friends easily as well, and very few people in the world I like completely hate. I'm very judgmental, I'm sarcastic, I'm a jerk sometimes, as far as like I said, my humor. It can come off as being a jerk. But generally, I don't dislike, when I meet somebody, you know, no matter what, it didn't matter. Like, once I got to meet him and all that, it became much more than, oh, you're someone who is donating to the stream and donating to the YouTube channel and whatever else. It became more than that. And even though, yeah, there was sometimes with anyone, when you're friends with somebody, they're going to do things that maybe annoy you, or you don't agree with, or you have opposite views, or they do some things that they don't think is necessarily, like, you know, doing something that may affect you in a negative way, of some way, you know. But it was impossible to be mad at him, because he brought a lot of light to the room that he was in, and he you know, laughed, and just everything about him was just so cool that it was awesome to have him around regardless of everything else. And he donated not only to me, to a lot of other, like, Twitch streamers especially. I don't even know how many people he donated to as far as Twitch streams are concerned. I just know that a lot of people were affected by, you know, that. And it was, without that, I don't know if I'd be here either, because things didn't grow. Now, after things start, you know, whatever, things slowed down as far as that was concerned, about June of last year as far as the donations were concerned, and that's when I started to hit hard times as well, because some things happened and had to put a bunch of money, so anything that had been saved up I pretty much blew through, and that's when I really kind of had to buckle down and go forth with what I've been doing now, and what's really picked up in the last 6 to 7 months or so. But he passed away back in June of this year. It was actually it's between, June was a very ridiculous, crazy month for me, because beginning of June was Wizard World Philadelphia. The end of June was Too Many Games convention, and in between that was his passing, and there was a lot of stuff going on else in my personal life that has finally started to recede. I just, go away or whatever it may be at this point. But like it's something that hit, and it took me a long time of doing the videos and doing everything, and I worked even harder just to keep my mind off of just everything that was going on, and it all kind of hit me at once, and things kind of fell apart for me after that happened, in June, that whole month and all that stuff. My relationship fell apart at that point. I've lost friendships now with other people that were a major part of not only my friendship, but also a part of everything that I do on YouTube and on my Twitch and everything like that. Things have happened, and part of it's good. Some of it's good to get motivated to do things, and that's what it did in the long run. So I have to say, not only for every single ounce of support that he was able to give to me, donation-wise, and just being the encouragement, like, never was negative with him. Like, there was no negativity with him. It was always a positive. I needed someone quickly to just say something quick to, like, I just rant to. I could do that with him, and that's why he became much more than a friend. Like, I could, at 4 in the morning on a Saturday, after being depressed for, like, all week and, drinking and whatever it may be, I could send him a message just to be like, hey, give me, what, and get that little bit of encouragement. That was just so much. And I know I never really talked about that on any of the videos or anything that I do on my live stream. I didn't want to bring it up, stuff like that, because that's personal, friendships. That's between friends. But those little things, and not saying he's the only one who's ever done that. I'm not saying that. I have other friends as well that have been able to do that for me, but just being able to do that to anyone, like, those people are extremely special in my life, and if you have someone like that in your life, it's a very special thing. But anyway, his all that support and all that friendship and on, and when his was amazing and got me through everything. And then when things slowed down, for whatever reason, I never asked. I didn't need to know. Like, life happens. Money dries up. Money's not everything. Money's only one thing in life. You need it. It's a necessity, but it's not the most important thing in life by any means. But so I never really asked what was going on. That slowed down at the end. And then unfortunately, with him passing, I'll never know. And he's, all that stuff. But with everything that happened, it also gave me that other boost of motivation to do better, because I didn't have that, that wasn't coming in there anymore. That wasn't going to be there. And then just all this stuff to kind of get me motivated even more so than I already was. And now it's like, I need to do this. Whatever it may be, I have to make it, because they're not only my friends and my family that are supporting me, there's been other people that have been impacted by what I do and support what I do and want me to succeed. I have to. Like, I have more motivation than I've ever had before when it comes to YouTube and to Twitch. And to so many people, this is a dumb thing to do. Like, dumb hobby. It's not a real job. People don't get it. People don't truly get it, I think, until they actually try it themselves. And when you try it yourself and you realize that it's not as easy as just putting a camera on, recording yourself, or recording yourself playing a video game from 30 years ago or whatever it is. There's a lot more into it. If you half-ass it, you're not going to succeed. It's a full-time, 7-day-a-week gig if you want to have any luck as far as getting yourself going when this, especially now with YouTube as big as it is and with Twitch as big as it is. But I'm motivated more than ever, and it's awesome to have that and your guys' support, and just one of those things. So I didn't do like any kind of video or mention it really in anything, but his zero thank you, like, without you, I don't know if I'd be still doing what I'm doing now. So that is something that will stay with me for a very, very long time, for my whole life. So I don't want to like get emotional or anything when I'm talking about this, but anyway, back to more positive things. Another fun thing that I got to do this year and started to do this year was my countdown videos. An idea I've been throwing around for quite a while in my head and wanting to do, and I had these ideas for, I wanted to do maybe a retro budget show, I wanted to do like whatever, and I was like, you know what, let's just do countdowns. They're easy. In theory, they're easy. I'm quickly finding out they're the hardest videos I edit every week, because you have to edit so much footage and get footage and play games that you just need for footage, and it's just countdowns are not as easy as you may think they are to put together. Especially, like, I can only imagine, like, it must be nice to be something like a Watch Mojo that has, like, such a huge conglomerate and money behind it that they have. I can't imagine how many editors they have working for them to edit together those top 10s they put up every single day, whatever the hell they may be. Top 10 dog farts in a movie. I don't even know what they're, at this point, I don't know how many countdowns they've done, but I can't even think they have any more topics left. I struggle at times, some weeks when I'm like, what do I want to talk about countdown-wise this week? And it's not trying to be an afterthought, just sometimes it's difficult to come up with a really solid idea for a countdown. But I've had a lot of fun doing them. I got to do a lot of NES retro stuff. My top 10 water theme songs was really cool. Top 10 Disney games, top 10 licensed games, and worst licensed games. You got to talk about expensive retro games, cheap retro games. I did a couple of countdowns for Resident Evil. I want to do more Resident Evil countdowns in the future because one of my favorite series. I love to talk more about my favorite monsters and bosses and characters and locations and all that kind of stuff. So I hope to do a lot more Resident Evil videos in the future because I love doing those. I don't know. I actually haven't looked and see how well they've done, if anyone enjoyed them or not. The Sonic ones, I did the classic best and worst Sonic levels, and they just did really well for me, especially the worst one. The worst videos always do better. Like, it's amazing how much better the worst of videos do than the best of. So if you wonder sometimes, well, why does he have a worst of this but not a best of? Just because they do usually. And like, I did the worst Disney games, 8 and 16-bit, or arguably 32-bit because the GBA is 32-bit. I know one person commented. At this point, I'm like, yeah, the GBA did a lot of Super Nintendo. It's closer, whatever. I know, I'm not going to get into that debate here. But those videos were fun to do. But the worst of things is what drew a lot of people in. Look at my most disappointing, worst of, and best of list for 2016 as far as the games are concerned. The best one, came out last. Which, wow, was a lot of work to kind of piece that together and put that out there. But hasn't quite reached the 1,000 mark yet, whereas stuff like the worst of and most disappointing games of the year list, they reached 1,000 within a couple of days, because people just, oh my, what's the worst games of the year and whatever else. But I like doing the countdowns a lot. It's just sometimes hard to come up with, like, things. That's why a lot of times on my Facebook, I'm throwing out, like, this is the list I'm working on this week, guys. Throw me some ideas. Not because I don't already have a ground foundation of ideas and stuff I want on the list. But there's sometimes when you're just brainstorming and you're thinking of stuff, you miss a game or two, or you miss a thing or two, or didn't think about something that could be included. So that's something fun that I like to do also, just, get opinions on, so it's easy to come up with, like, you should do a top 10 blank, whatever it may be. Well, what do I put on it? Because, I may be like, well, this, and this are obvious, but how do I fill out the, the whole 10 or 15 or 20 or even 5 sometime? I'm definitely going to do a top 5 and top best and worst Silent Hill games as well. That's another list. I don't know when I'm going to do that, but that needs to get done. And I also really love doing the trophy ones. Yes, trophy hunting is stupid to so many people, and I get that, I understand that, but I like doing it. And there's a lot of people out there who like trophy hunting or achievement hunting or whatever you want to call it. And so I was like, you know what, I've been wanting to do trophy videos forever. I've been achievement hunting since the 360 started, and then I stopped for a while on 360, moved to PlayStation, and now I've been trophy hunting for years now on PlayStation. And I would love, it was one thing I wanted to do for a while, was do some kind of video for them, and now I've not only through those easiest platinum list, but doing the weekly trophy video, which this week is going to be so dull because there's like nothing to talk about, but that's been really cool. I get to talk about that now, and some of you guys are enjoying it. Yeah, it's not going to do, I'm not expecting to do gangbuster review, views-wise. I'm not expecting for thousands of views. Maybe one day one of those can reach 1,000 views. Maybe that can happen one day. That's the pipe, that's the dream. That's the pipe dream at this point. Get one of those weekly videos to hit 1,000 mark. That's kind of my standard. Like, if a video hits 1,000, then it was a good video. That's kind of how I judge myself. And soon enough, it's going to be, 2,000 views is going to be a good video. And then keep growing. Got to stay positive. Keep on trucking. But anyway, so I love doing those. I'm talking about PlayStation sales. People are like, well, to me, I own a ton of games. Obviously, there's games everywhere. But I didn't get this many. I've never been rich at all. Never been rich. Yeah, I spent a lot of money on games. There's no doubt about it. But I didn't get so many games by buying them all at full price or whatever, so I like talking about sales and stuff and whether or not a game's worth it or collecting as far as physical copies are concerned and all that cool stuff, because it's one of those really fun things to do. But, yeah, wow, that's a lot of stuff to talk about in 2016, man. What a year it has been. It's been an absolute insane, chaotic year. Hopefully things get better for me, you know, personally wise, but business wise, best year I've ever had. And so 2016 will always be important to me because of the life-changing events in my personal life and my business doing as well as it has. Like, to some people, 15,000 is like, 15,000 subscribers, that's nothing. You're nothing. You're right, I am very small fry. I'm a small fish in a big pond as far as YouTube is concerned. But that 15,000 is a huge step up from the 11,000 or 10,000 that I was at this time last year. And I've been doing this 9 years. So the amount of growth between December of last year and December of this year is a testament to your guys' amazing support of watching this channel and subscribing and being a part of it and building this Cornshaq Nation up. And the determination of me to get that content out there and keep growing and change things up and not afraid to, you know, what's the thing from Magic School Bus? Make mistakes and get messy, whatever Miss Frizzle used to say. But like, that's what the fun of YouTube creating is throwing ideas out there, see what sticks, being creative, enjoying it, and I love it. This is my job. This is what I do for a living now. I'm proud to say it, whereas a few years ago, when I first started this, I had to kind of hide it. You know what? I'm proud to do what I do now. I'd rather be poor, enjoying what I do, and loving what I do, than to have some mediocre job, slumming it, and still barely being able to make it. So, thank you all so much. You guys keep me going, you keep me motivated. Your views and your shares and your love keeps everything here at the Cornshaq Nation, the Cornshaq channel, Twitch, all that stuff. You guys keep this ship running. You're the fuel that keeps the train rolling, the car going, whatever you want to call it. You guys are the reason it happens. And I don't want to ever, I hope, you know, you can never say never, but I really hope that even if things do grow, that I don't lose sight of what makes it work. Because without you guys, I wouldn't be anything. And to at least 15,400 or whatever it is at this point, I'm at least a little something to each and every one of you guys. So thank you all. Hope 2016 was a good year for you, but if it wasn't, let's hope 2017, no matter what the world events are, let's hope 2017, at least for individually, for yourself, is a good year. You know, and it continues to be a good long time on this earth that we get so short of a time on here as it is. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. Happy New Year. Enjoy your New Year's, all that fun stuff, and I will see you with a video like this probably sometime in 2017. There's still more videos this year. Don't get me wrong, there's still a couple more things I'm going to have up very soon, and plenty of stuff going into January. But thank you guys. Happy New Year, and see you in 2017.